history of gun forgeries is quite rich. Small gunsmiths were also fond of it in Europe. For example, here is a seemingly ordinary Belgian Veladog. The main thing is not to look at it from above, because it will turn out to be a Browning. No, stop. Brownie Inga. Grandpa John was probably the most counterfeited gunsmith of his time. The Chinese, of course, were particularly notable in this business, as they were fond of stamping fancy marks on guns and literally did not understand what kind of scribbles they were stamping on them, and potential buyers did not even recognize them. And since there were enough gunsmiths in China at the beginning of the 20th century, such cases were not uncommon. Most of them are from the so-called militarist era, a time when China actually fell apart into pieces controlled by armed groups on the principle of as much as I can hold, as much as mine. The unknown author of this construction could not decide whether it was a Browning or a Mauser. That is why he applied the German branding and repeated Browning's surname 3 times, just to be sure. However, the aiming bar here is a separate work of art in itself. This Browning even looks like the right one from afar. But if you try to read the stigmas that didn't always click the first time, and the creator of this tinkered with it a few more times. Especially beautiful is the fuse, both positions of which are marked FUU, that is, fire. The second one, however, is not very good, EFU. Another Chinese Browning. What exactly they were trying to write on it is unknown to science. I can't eat enough rice vodka to figure it out. The main thing is that when you try to read it, you don't get a Fluggehymen. In general, the Chinese loved stamps with a tender love. The more of them, the more fashionable it was, apparently. However, if an unknown Chinese person did not just randomly type random characters, but tried to copy the original, the results were usually no better. As for example, in this attempt to forge a Colt M1900. Moreover, if only artisans were engaged in this kind of work. This 1914 Mauser likeness was made not just anywhere, but at the Hanyang Arsenal, the largest arms production facility in the country at the time. The Chinese generally liked the classic C96 as a status item. That's why they counterfeited them just as often. Heck, it's our favorite jumping font. And the gun turned out to be a Wowser, not a Mauser. Another Chinaman. And this one almost works. Everything about this piece is perfect. More arsenical creativity that can't make up its mind whether it's Belgian or German again. The best addition to a Brownings pistol is a Mauser National like this one. Sometimes the Chinese had fits of gigantomania, and I think that the gun would have worked well as a boomerang when the extended 12-round magazine was exhausted. The inscription tries to say, "Made in America, New York," but it turns out the same as always. A rather amusing Hunan Arsenal C96. Underneath a random set of characters, it is honestly written where it was made. Hunan at the time was controlled by a group of the same name under Tang Yankai, who made quite a mark in the history of that era. However, the rest of the inscriptions are of the same-as-always variety. Another C96. And this masterpiece deserves its own prize. Yep, made in Russia. On the left side of the shutter is the traditional nonsense. They didn't bother so much with this gun. They used whatever branding they could get their hands on. Another Belgian Mauser. An FNM 1900 clone with a traditionally kilometer-long, meaningless set of letters. At the top, the Chinese were not even lazy to point out Browning's patent. However, they had trouble with the designer's surname. another masterpiece of China prom. It is not only the stamps that are beautiful in it, but also the rifling in the barrel. No, it seems there was clearly a sacred meaning hidden in the repetition of a single inscription. Here you have a gun. National, 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 Brevet, Brevet, National. This is where the Chinese ran out of patience, and the adjustable rear sight was made here. A complete sham. These pistols came in pairs at auction. If you can't get enough of the National, National, oh, I don't want to repeat myself 8 times. Here it is. Another Mauser National, National. Okay, Gereu Kigleb, Gereu Kigleb, Gereu Kigleb hasn't happened yet. Again, a favorite combination. Undoubtedly, when you are holding not just a Mauser, but an FN Herstal manufactured one, you are the first guy in the Chinese village. True, the sight will again be completely fake. Thanks to C96 in China, the bar was a sign of status of the weapon. It even came to the point that on the Browning High Power ordered by China from John Inglis and Co-Browning High Power, the kilometer bar was mounted by special request. And as you can see, the bevel on the bolt was preserved as usual, beyond 500 meters. There was a lot of local creativity. So, another hybrid Mauser Belgique, 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 Belgique. No, you do the math on how many times that's stuffed. Is just another National, National, National. This time, for a change, the Chinese also stamped the stamps upside down. Okay, enough Mausers. Here's an almost real M1911. However, it is made in the scale of 7/8 of the original, but it's a small thing. However, revolvers in China were not spared either. Smith Wesson. Surprisingly well forged. Only the form of the "and" sign was messed up, and instead of .32 long CTG, they wrote 32 long OTG. The production of this Smith type, by the way, is also Arsenal, judging by the branding of the 44th Arsenal in Guizhou. Subsequently, the Viet Cong picked up the banner, also enthusiastically clamping underclones of imported models. For example, they did not bother with branding, and the main object of copying was 1911. Thus, this pistol, which resembles the M1911 from afar, is considerably simplified. The bolt is free and the bolt delay lever is an imitation. A .32 ACP Lougerois. The quality of the fit of the parts is simply impressive. However, these are, of course, the most neglected cases when weapons were made literally on the knees. The same clones of the M1911 were made by the Viet Cong and were quite convincing. The other thing is that the resource they had was a total lottery. Some Chinese Abibas also made it to Vietnam, I don't know by what means. The second, made in Russia today, brought back from the war as a curious trophy. And by the way, firing automatically. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell so you don't miss new exciting videos. See you in the next video, where we will continue to reveal the secrets of the gun world. See you soon.